Hello, everyone. My name is Samaya Ahmed Sheikh. I am so excited to have you all here today on behalf of the Michigan Women's Commission and the Executive Office of the Governor Appointments Division. We're super excited to celebrate Women's Equality Day with you all. To start us off, I have a brief message from our governor, our great governor, Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Happy Women's Equality Day. Today and every day we celebrate women across our state and nation. We remember the ones whose shoulders we stand on and commit ourselves to fighting for those who will come after us, our daughters and granddaughters. But so much of being heard and seen is having a seat at the table, and that's why as governor, I built the most diverse representative administration in Michigan history. Nearly half my appointees to statewide boards, commissions, and courts, more than 1,000, are women. More than half the judges I've appointed are women, including Justice Kyra Harris Bolden, the first Black woman on the Michigan Supreme Court. And we've established new statewide boards to ensure women's voices are brought in at the decision-making table. There's still much work to do, and we need your help to get it done. We still have openings on statewide boards and commissions, and I encourage you to check out our website, michigan.gov/appointments, to apply. Michigan needs your experience, insights, and compassion. We need you. Together, let's keep doing what women do, rolling up our sleeves and getting it done.
Thank you to our governor. Like I said, I'm so excited to have all of you here today. We're joined by an esteemed panel of commissioners who represent the state of Michigan in different capacities, and we're really excited to hear from them all. So without further ado, I would love for us to get to know our commissioners. And first, I'm going to pass it over to Suzanne Sukar, who is the chair of the Commission on Middle Eastern Affairs.
Hello, everyone, and thank you to the Michigan Women's Commission, the Executive Office of the Governor, and Sumaya Ahmed Sheikh for organizing this important discussion and for inviting me to this panel. My name is Suzanne Sukar. I serve as the chair of the Commission on Middle Eastern American Affairs. I have served on the commission since 2016 and had the pleasure of working with many talented commissioners and with different leadership. I am thankful for the opportunity and ability to work with the Office of Global Michigan, who does exemplary work. My actual day job is attorney at the law firm of Dickinson Wright, based in our Ann Arbor office. I've been practicing business immigration law for 20 years. It's hard to believe that it's been that long. I mostly work with companies and helping them with their global mobility issues for their workforce and compliance issues. You asked for one word that describes our service to our commissions. And this was a tough question because many of the words that came to mind all started with the letter E, but the one word that I decided to share is empowering. The reason for choosing this word is that I truly feel that I've helped make an impact on bettering all our communities, and that is empowering.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's a great way to start our webinar off today. So Sue, please describe who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about the Michigan Women's Commission that you sit on.
Thank you so much, Maya, and thank you to all the women who have joined us today. This is a wonderful opportunity, not only for us to share about what we do with each other, but also to make sure that our state knows about what it is that we do and making sure that we're connecting those dots for them. I am the chair of the Michigan Women's Commission. It is my honor and privilege to serve on that commission, and I've served for the last few years as a commissioner and as a volunteer. So really enjoyed the work that they did. Our Michigan Women's Commission has done some amazing things like the Tri-Share Child Care Program, and also with the apprenticeship program that we've started. I've just been the roundtables discussion that we've had across the state. I've just been impressed with what we've done in our leadership. So very grateful to be a part of that. And I'm also my day job would be the project manager for Cornwall Health's Children's, where I look at the funding that we have and then set up metrics, establish metrics to make sure that we're showing the importance of the work and highlighting that for our funders. Truly appreciate the work that I'm doing with Cornwall Health's Children's and making sure that pediatric patients have access to quality care. And I also am the mother of two beautiful teenagers, so that's one of my most important jobs. And the I'm sorry, the last thing is the one word that would describe me is legacy. And that's probably because my great grandmother Sue has always talked about the importance of passing the torch. And she definitely passed the torch to me when she made sure that I knew how to take risk and I stepped out and spoke up for women whose voices needed to be heard.
Thank you, Sue. That's so very important. Next, I'd like to welcome Audra. If you can please tell us a little bit about yourself, one word that maybe describes how much what this work means to you.
Hi, my name is Audra Wilson. I am the secretary for the Michigan LGBT Plus Commission. My day job, I am a clinical workflow specialist for Great Lakes Bay Health Centers. So what that means is I look at workflows for our various departments and I assess those, and then I basically come up with a best practice curriculum for that department. One word to describe me, well, based off my commission, I would say is nexus. Um, Basically, I would say I'm sort of the glue that kind of brings us all together in a sense. I may not have a huge impact in particular departments, but if you give me the information, I can definitely direct you to where you need to go.
Thank you, Audra. We're so thankful for the work the LGBTQ Plus Commission has been doing. Next, I'd like to pass it over to Dr. Donna from the Black Leadership Advisory Council.
Right. Thank you, Samaya. And following others, thank you to the Governor's Office, to the Women's Commission for putting on such a great event and having so much representation from different commissions and councils. My name is Dr. Donna Bell. I am co-chair for the Black Leadership Advisory Council. We are 16 members strong and really focused on a number of different areas that lift barriers in the Black community, specifically in education, the African diaspora, business, education, health and wellness, and social justice, so arts and culture. So we have a number of different areas that we're focused on. And in my day job, I am owner and chief business consultant for Dr. Donna Bell Consulting. And the one word that I would put out there for everyone is passionate. So I have so much passion for wanting to help the community, drive better programs, reduce the number of barriers that Black and Brown people have to actually move forward in this state. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to pass it over to Consuela from the Hispanic Latino Commission.
Hola, everyone. Buenos tardes. My name is Consuela. I'm the vice chair for the Hispanic Latino Commission. And the commission, I have been serving, this is my second term since 2020, right when the world kind of like ended and returned and whatnot. And my day job is very complex, where I focus on two different areas. One in cyber crimes that impact children into human trafficking or um, human trafficking and cyber crimes that impact children in their mental well-being. And I work with local, state, and federal law enforcement in bringing our children back home that have been impacted by the system in that way. And then the second thing that I'm really excited about that I just started doing as the new director is a statewide organization that focuses on Afro-Indigenous arts across the state. And we're actually going to have our first ever statewide Latin Film Festival and Music Festival next year, bringing heavy hitters, not just across the state, but across the country. And I will say that the word that I bring to the commission is solutionary. Solutionary is a term that is a Detroit term during the civil rights movement, and it means to come up with solutions that are revolutionary, that are legacy driven, that are intergenerational and purposeful. So I'm a solutionary.
Thank you. I'm excited about the music festival that you're talking about. There's nothing that brings people together like art and music. And so thank you for sharing that. Last but not least, I'd like to welcome Ayesha from the Michigan Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission.
Thank you so much, Samaya. Happy Women's Equality Day, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you again to the Michigan Women's Commission for putting this on. My name is Ayesha Ghazi Edwin, and I am the chair of the Michigan Asian Pacific American Affairs Commission. I've been the chair since 2021. And we have 15 commissioners from around the state, and our main mission is really to uplift our diverse cultures and identities and increase our civic engagement across the state. Asian Americans are the most diverse ethnic group in the world. And we do a really good job of increasing civic engagement. We just had a Capitol Day last year where we had, I think, the largest number of community members attend Lansing to meet with their representatives. So we're really focused on helping to connect the Asian community to civic engagement. I have been a long time, Asian American community organizer. And in my day job, I am a professor at University of Michigan School of Social Work. And I'm also an Ann Arbor City Council member. The word that I would use to describe, I wouldn't say me, but our work as a commission would be community-based. We really strive to whatever resources that we get to really connect it to the community and to the organizations and lift up what Asian American Michiganders are doing all over the state. So it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. As you all can see, our governor has done a phenomenal job appointing the right women to be in these seats, and we're excited to share our stories today, talk a little bit about the importance of having women at the table. How do we continue to uplift women around us, and how do we bring more women to the table? And so I'm excited for all of our commissioners here today to share their stories and to really have an honest and real discussion about what their journey looks like. And so to start us off, the question that I have is for you, Ayesha, actually, since you were just speaking. If you can tell us a little bit about what prompted you to apply to serve on a commission. Were you asked, or how did you find the commission? You can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I found the commission through just my work in Asian American community organizing. So I was serving as the executive director of an organization called American Citizens for Justice, which was founded by the family of Vincent Chin, who was tragically killed in a hate crime killing in Michigan, an Asian American individual named Vincent Chin. And during my work on civil rights and discrimination, just a lot of people knew about MAPAC, and they just all kind of roads kept leading back to MAPAC. So I applied because I really wanted to take some of the organizing I was doing at the community level to the next level, and give some of the marginalized communities I was working with a voice.
And so when you say that you kind of knew about this work, and it kind of came almost natural to be to apply for the commission, what would you say to some women from the Asian American community or other communities who might not know how to get started there? How would you tell them to get involved, or what are some resources that helped you get involved?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Samaya. Thank you. I think the best resource to get involved is honestly, first step, just Google like Michigan State Board and Commissions, and apply, honestly, because I think that people don't realize that their identities, their lived experiences are unique, and they bring a lot to the table, especially women. I was hesitant at first with applying to the commission because I was about to give birth at the time. And now that I'm here, I'm realizing that because I'm a mom, there's lived experience that I have with using our infrastructure, like, our transportation and our school system, that have helped me to give a perspective that otherwise I may not have. So, for example, one of the things that we're advocating right now is around integrating Asian American history into K through 12 public curriculum. That's something that has been being moved through into the legislature. And I see it personally with my own child in the public school system, how important it is for him to know that we too are part of American history.
And on that note, Consuela, tell us a little bit about your journey to, or what prompted you to apply to the commission, or were you asked?
I'm so glad you called on me next because I was like, "Yeah, Geisha." I remember. So I was asked to be a member, and I was very surprised when I was asked because when you are an organizer on the front line, you're busy doing the work and you're not really thinking, well, for me, I'll say, I'm not thinking anyone is recognizing anything that I'm doing because I'm so busy doing the work. But when was brought to my attention, I didn't even know that there was a commission. And I remember looking it up and I almost didn't do it for the main reason that I didn't see myself. So then I was told, like, that's the reason why we want you to be there, is because it's about representation, to have Afro Latino voice, have an Afro Latino voice that's a queer voice, not just representing Afro Latinidad, but a sector of work that we don't focus on, say, cyber crimes against children and things like that. And so, representation for me to since I've been on the commission has been most important. Well, I'm sorry, been very important to me. The impact, especially when we talk about the ethnic bills. 798 for us to have that representation, not only in the commission but within our academic studies. That's the reason why we're here, to remind, like, these are the voices that are also important as Michiganders.
Thank you, Consuela. Um, as some of you may heard today, or already have heard, aside from being commissioners, a lot of these women have daytime jobs. Their mothers, their sisters, their daughters. There's a lot that goes on aside from just being represented on these commissions and working hard to ensure that they are advancing the commission's mission. So I'd like to ask you, Donna, what's a time commitment look like? What does work-life balance look like when you're serving on these commissions?
Thank you for the question, Samaya. And, when I think about the time commitment from a co-chair perspective, it's probably a little bit different than being on a committee. And I would say I spend about 3 or 4 hours normally as a part of the Black Leadership Advisory Council. But there are times, such as now, where we are promoting our policy recommendations to the governor for 2024, 2025. And that takes a little bit more time. So I may have to go to another city. We had a review in Flint. We have one coming up in Muskegon. We had one in Detroit. So sometimes it takes a little bit more time, but it's worth it because you are really representing your constituency and looking or establishing the time that it takes. It's just totally really up to you. From a work-life balance perspective, ebbs and flows, right? Having a balance, I've never had a balance in my career, never balanced anything, but I have had ebbs and flows. And I think it's very important for anyone that's considering to be on a commission or a council to think about how they can ebb and flow the different responsibilities that they have in their life. So yeah, I'd say in a normal month, it's about 3 to 4 hours, but that's because we meet monthly. Not every commission and every council meets on a monthly basis. Some meet quarterly, some meet twice a year. It's just up to that commission on the amount of work that needs to get done and the time commitment that they want to put forward.
That's really helpful. And later in our webinar today, I hope to walk through some of the nits and grits of what time commitment looks like to hopefully get that information out there. Suzanne, on that same note of time commitment and family life and work-life balance, what does that look like for you? And also, a question I'd love to get the answer of is, what does your contribution look like? How do you see that translate in your, work today life?
Yeah, thank you, Samaya, for that question. And I could echo Dr. Bell's response as how it looks different when you're a commissioner or you're in leadership, because I was both, and the time varies drastically, and your time is very valuable. And similar to Dr. Bell, I mean, full disclosure, for me, just the concept of work-life balance, I am not good with work-life balance. Maybe it's the language, but don't feel there's like a 50-50 sort of balance of work and life. For me, I feel it's more about balancing what is important for that day, prioritizing things for that day or maybe week. The pendulum is constantly shifting, and some days the balance for work are tipped more heavily, and other times the balance for life is tipped on the scales. And while we're making these decisions about whether we want to join these boards, you have to make decisions about your time, but it doesn't have to be compromised. If you have a school field trip for your child, you're going to bump attending a function to spend the day with your child. You may have an important work meeting, and it means rescheduling a dentist appointment for your child. So we shouldn't feel guilty about moving and shifting things around, because change is constant. And as long as you show up for your family and friends and show up for your work and other commitments, you are doing what you need to do. And again, it just goes back to how important it is. Our time is limited and how we spend it. But with respect to the time commitment to the commission or board, it does vary, as Dr. Bell had mentioned, per commission. But I believe the rule is there must be at least 4 regular meetings each year for each commission. So our commission, we hold quarterly meetings. And so that's 4 meetings in a calendar year. We meet in March, June, September, and December. Our commissioner meetings are 2 hours long, and that includes all of our appointed commissioners, government leadership, and the public. We have an agenda that's prepared. Topics may vary. Meeting packet is presented at each meeting. And so the 4 meetings is not a huge time commitment, and it depends how much you put into it. But our commission is a working commission. So we expect commissioners to not only show up for a quarterly meeting, but to roll up their sleeves and do the work. We recently added a monthly 30-minute check-in meeting just to respect everyone's time for our strategic initiatives groups. And that's our community engagement, operations, and legislative advocacy. These are small groups of about 3 to 4 people, because on the commissions, you have to abide by Open Meetings Act rules, and you cannot have large groups convening. And we serve as a working group and to touch base on topics, come back with recommendations, and to update the commission at the quarterly meetings. So, as a commissioner, specifically with our commission, you join a SIG based on your interests and strengths. For example, we hosted a legislative day in Lansing, and each of the ethnic commissions hosts ones, but we handled them differently, and it was fun to watch and learn from the others. But one of the legislative priorities we addressed, including support for the Michigan Voting Rights Act. Our MENA community is not protected. This leads to marginalization in the redistricting process and a lack of in-language election materials and ballots. So the Michigan Voting Rights Act is actually a shared priority among the ethnic commissions. And not only provides protections for the MENA communities, but also for minority and marginalized populations. So this is a perfect example of collaboration across commissions to achieve a common goal. So if you're passionate about certain issues, you can find and should participate in a way that is meaningful for you. You will find that something special when you serve on a commission or board.
Thank you, Suzanne. And going back to you, Dr. Donna, are there any times that you'd like to share or experiences that you can share how serving on the Black Leadership Advisory Council has affected something in your normal day or normal work life?
Sure, absolutely. So, when I think about the policy recommendations that we put forward back in 2022, many of the policy recommendations are still relevant today. But there's one in particular that we supported with Senator Sarah Anthony on the Crown Act. So creating a respectful and open world for natural hair act. And so that was important to me because as I was going through my career, I was always thinking about what my hair looked like. Was it straight enough? Was it, was it the right color? Could I wear braids and things like that? And that's not what a company needs from an individual, is to have them worry about those things. They want everyone to be able to come to work and be their authentic self. And so putting time and work and effort into getting that passed into law, getting that act passed into law was something that was very special to me. And I will always be grateful for everyone that put time and effort into it, especially Senator Anthony. So So things like that. There are other things relative to payday lending that drive disparities in our communities. How do we, limit the amount of money that those in the community pay for a loan? 300% for a loan is just way too much. And so we are working towards, we are working with some of the other policymakers on moving or passing a bill that will reduce the percentage rate for a payday loan. And so with that predatory lending, it's just an opportunity to break down one of those barriers that I talked about in the Black and Brown community. So absolutely. And that's where the passion comes from, is that there are so many things that can be done to help move the needle in our communities. And that's what each and every council member is there for, is to really drive drive things that would help eliminate those barriers or reduce them significantly. So absolutely.
Thank you. So I think it's safe to say that it's really those lived experiences and the things that you have gone through just on the day-to-day that really translate over into the work that you're doing today. So thank you for that, Suzanne and Dr. Donna. A question I had for you, Sue, is why do you think it's important for women to apply and serve on boards and commissions? And what unique voice do women bring to the table? We're hearing a lot about what the balance looks like, the time commitment, but what is really that thing that pulls you in and the importance around it?
Thank you so much, Smaya, for that question. We are, as women, we know that we do have a unique voice that we bring to the table. We know that our experiences of managing so many things, right? So, and like you said, Suzanne, it's important that we hear that we know that we're not going to always have that perfect balance, right? But we will sometimes ebb and flow. And so I can appreciate that. So what is the importance of a woman serving on boards and commissions is really about, it's really about what it is that we're bringing to the table. And those experiences, like I said, are unique. I know that one of the things that we talked about with the Michigan Women's Commission is getting more women, getting more young ladies in STEM. And so that's important to our state and to the workforce. We saw after COVID that it was about 2 million women that left the workforce. So what did we do? We started working on, hey, we know that we need people in our workforce. How can we start to get them back? We started with the childcare, Tri-Share for Childcare program. And that program really addressed the barriers that women were facing with affording childcare. And I don't know if anybody on this call has known how much it costs for childcare, but it is definitely something that would prevent someone from going to work, right? Because of how much it costs. I remember paying, it was almost a mortgage payment for my daughter. So being able to have that voice and say, hey, we need to do something about this. Is there a way that our state can make changes? And they did that. That's exactly what the Michigan Women's Commission did. And then they made sure that it was sustainable. Our executive leader for the Michigan Women's Commission is amazing. She's phenomenal. And she really started to look at policy changes. She started to look at how can we ensure this is in our budget. So, and not just that, with our STEM, we're working with the Girl Scouts now, making sure that that we start to think about how do we pass that torch. And so it's so important for women to be on these boards and commissions because we're going to bring that voice. We're going to bring not just our experiences, but we're going to bring the experience of possibly our neighbor, our community, the families that we know and that we go to school with, or that our children go to school with. We know that we listen, and I heard it was one of the African proverbs that said, if you really connect with a woman, she's going to make sure that her entire community is fed, right? A woman is amazing, and we should never discount that voice. And it's very important to make sure that that we're listening to that. And I will say this one last thing. when I was in college, I took a women's course on women and within our nation. And our teacher shared with us a newspaper article that was something that women would receive. And it talked about the importance of women being in the household and trying to just stay within their house. And I keep that up to remind me how it wasn't that far away. It was in 1955 that's what was shared with women, is that this is important for you. And I showed that to my teenager, my daughter, who's a teenager, and she said, this doesn't make sense. And I said, but see how far we've come, right? So it's important for her to know, and for her friends to know, that this is how far we've come. This is still within, my mother's lifetime. So it's important for us to start to make sure that we're moving that needle, that we're changing the perspective of what women can bring to the table. Women are amazing creatures, and I am so grateful to be one.
Thank you. That was so wonderful. And I agree. Passing the torch on is something that's important, and bringing more women to the table, and kind of keeping that in the back of your head in any room that you walk in is so important. So thank you for sharing that. Audra, you have been such a rock star on one of our newer commissions that's about a year old now, the LGBTQ+ commission. And I would love to hear about, the influence from your end of having representation, ensuring that women are brought to the table, and ensuring that, on the note that Sue said, that ensuring that there's a diverse representation across women at the table. What does that look like for you, or what is that? How has that journey been for you on the LGBTQ+ commission?
Good question. Thank you so much, Samaya. Yep, just a caveat on the diverse perspectives. Women of my experience, especially LGBT, we definitely bring a unique viewpoint in our experiences, our lived experiences. That way we can have a lot more comprehensive and innovative decision making. Again, the representation is also something that's equally as important. Having women in leadership roles and also in chairs and board secretaries, all that good stuff. This can lead to a more equitable and just practices and policies that benefit everyone. Also, the use of role models. I remember growing up as a youth that role models was something that was very important. And I know something for me is to try to be the woman that I needed when I was a youth, or when I was, younger. Again, women in leadership positions, they serve as role models and mentors to other women and girls, inspiring them to pursue their own leadership aspirations. And then also it just shows here studies that having women in leadership and also women on boards and things of diverse, experiences, you have improved performances. Studies show that organizations with diverse leadership teams often perform better financially and even more effective in achieving their goals. And then overall, just balanced decision making.
That's wonderful. As our governor likes to say, women get it done, right? So we're clearly doing that, and we need to do more of it. When we talk a little bit about encouraging folks, and I think it was you, Suzanne, earlier who talked about empowering women and using that as the one word that really guides your conversation here. How do you encourage more women to apply to boards and commissions, and how do you uplift women around you and bring them to the table?
And you heard Audra and Sue touch on some of these things, but truly, your voice matters. Your ideas matter. Your contribution matters. You are a role model. If you have daughters, nieces, sisters, friends, they're all looking to you. They gain inspiration from you. You are modeling behavior, whether you are consciously or unconsciously doing it. Let me share a story with you. So, the Executive Office of the Governor and the Office of Global Michigan hosted its first all-ethnic commissions meeting. It was the Middle Eastern, Latino, Hispanic, and the Asian Pacific commissions in 2023, just last year. So the governor and key leadership in government spoke at this event in Lansing. I decided to bring my then 13-year-old daughter with me to the meeting. She got to sit in the same room with the governor, listen to her speak. She had a chance to see her mom in action and listen to me speak and actively engage. And she had a chance to visit the state capitol. She learned more in that one day about the importance of civic engagement in government and politics than she would have learned in a few weeks in 8th grade civics class. So it was worth skipping class that day. Now, my daughter had an opportunity because I was actively involved in the commission. And so that door opened for her, and she was able to see the importance of involvement. She was able to live through the process, not just read about it in a classroom. And collectively, we offer different perspectives. Before I had the opportunity to serve on the commission, I found myself leaning towards national or international topics. I felt like the global issues and the action there felt more exciting and worldly. However, after becoming a commissioner, I learned a lot about local governance and the significance of local, whether it's township, city, or county, and state issues, and the impact that it has on our local communities and across the state of Michigan. The quote of "all politics is local" really took on another meaning. It isn't that I didn't recognize it before, but serving on the commission helped me appreciate it even more and became an educational experience for me. Through town halls and listening sessions, I had an opportunity to listen to the concerns of people in our communities, Michiganders who are our neighbors, at our local schools, local administration, and listen and learn about things that we have in common and learn about the differences. Also, by working with the other ethnic commissions, we learned about issues that are important to their communities and areas where our interests overlap. We have more in common than we have differences. It is important to remember this. Working together as a community makes us stronger and helps us work together to advance our communities.
Thank you. I've been seeing more of that too, of folks bringing their young ones in to meetings and to events. And I love to see it because I think you're totally right. There are some instances where it just makes sense to show them what it looks like when you're in action and to really just dive into the experience. And I love the taboo of that kind of been taken away now. And it's okay to kind of bring your kid to work or your nephew to work. So thank you for sharing that story. Ayesha, on that note, how do you uplift women around you when it comes to applying to boards and commissions? And I would love for you to share some concrete ways that our audience here can really just start bringing more women to the tables that they're already at.
Thanks for the question, Samaya. So I think, one of the ways that I try to uplift women is, again, encouraging to apply for boards and commissions, not just at the state level, but I also think at the local level is really important. I became an Ann Arbor City Council member because I applied for a city board and commission, and I became a human rights commissioner. And I think a lot of the time we undervalue just our intelligence and our lived experience. So continuing to encourage people to apply for those leadership positions and see themselves in those places of leadership is really important. Personally, I am the first woman and the youngest and first South Asian chair of MAPAC. And I think that because, Governor Whitmer gave me this opportunity, it's now been able to kind of shift representation within the commission. Representation is so important. And today we have, I think, more diversity represented on our commission of our Asian American community than we ever have before. So another thing that I really strive to do is, those marginalized communities that many people don't realize that we have, like the Hmong community, Bhutanese community, trying to make sure that they too apply to our commissions. And this actually goes back to one of our priorities. As a commission, one of the things that we really battle up against is always trying to break the model minority myth, right? A lot of people think that Asian Americans have high socioeconomic status, across the board have high education, and in some ways we do, but we also have ethnic groups that are highly, marginalized. And it's really important for us to expose that marginalization and those disparities and also encourage people from those populations to participate in our commission.
Thank you so much, Ayesha. And I'd love to ask Consuela here in regards to bringing more young women to the table. How do you advise that we can bring young people into the fold?
Well, how to advise to bring more young people to the fold? Well, you rarely become what you don't see. And so one of the awesome things as it relates to our public meetings the listening sessions, and even the all commission meetings that we have is the opportunity it gives for us to meet with other constituents that look like us, don't look like us, don't have the shared stories, and to be able to discover overlooked experiences that I know for certain that should be have a voice on the commission. And so when they look at us, they'll see a commission that's diverse, that's intergenerational, and that most importantly, that's going to say, hey, your voice is important. It may not been over there, but right here at this table, you are welcome. You are included. You can bring your own plate and make sure some good victuals on it and things like that. But for me, been able to to talk to youth and young adults and to visit them at their workplace or wherever they are and to see the work that they're really proud of, and especially like if it's in academics, if it's in science, things that we really don't pay attention to, or if it's in the arts, um, to see where their voice fits right now and see intergenerationally where it can go in the future. And having our committees are in education, economic development, and health, for instance. It's not just the commissioners who are on the committees. There is a space that's open for other people in the community to actually also sit on those committees and whatnot. And what cool thing about the commission itself, politicians may come and go, but as a commissioner, you're the person that's in the background that's making sure things stay steady and ready, and we can jump and leap when it's time to go. We can organize when it's time to go. We can remind people of the purpose and the point and the mission of why we're here. And incorporating a youth and young voice right now to integrate that, that will ensure that our legacy will stay sustainable.
Thank you so much, Consuela. As you all know, Governor Whitmer has worked to ensure appointees reflect Michigan's diverse population, as you see here today. 60% of appointees are women, are people of color, and the Whitmer cabinet is the most diverse in Michigan history. Governor Whitmer has appointed more than 1,035 women to boards, commissions, and full-time positions, as well as 57 women to judicial positions. And Governor Whitmer is committed to ensuring that the representation of women continues to be reflected across boards and commissions, as women are an important part of our fabric for the state of Michigan. And so with that said, I'd love to talk a little bit about the appointments division and how we can get women, more women to apply and to become commissioners. And so, like I said, by the numbers, we have over 1,000 that are already women, but overall we have 2,300 appointees at any given time. And that's across our 250 boards and commissions, as well as university appointments and judicial appointments. And what we do at the appointments division, we're responsible for seeking qualified candidates to serve on these state boards and commissions. And we're an important part of ensuring, as Consuela said, the legacy that we want to leave here, the mission and values that we want to represent here in the state of Michigan. Each board has unique requirements and expectations that I'll go through in a little bit just right here. In regards to the boards and commissions, I know I said we have 250 boards and commissions, and they're covered by a wide variety of issues. So education, workforce, health, housing, environment, agriculture, criminal justice, ethnic commissions, and more. And so there is really a seat for anyone and everyone to be at the table. There's probably an issue that covers something that's important to everyone here in the state. And these boards and commissions, once you're appointed to them, you are working directly with your departments that they're sitting underneath once your appointment is made. And so the four things I think that are really important to state here when you are serving as a commissioner, and even before, as you are working on the ground as someone who has a stake in bettering Michigan, is one, you connect with your communities, you bring the issues that affect your communities to board meetings, and you connect in finding tactics and solutions to reflect and improvise and deliver results. You share the good work that we're doing at the administration, but you also share the important work that you're doing on the ground, because essentially you're the governor's ambassadors on the ground. And so from that end, you get kind of like an inside look as a commissioner to start sharing some of the boards and commissions that we have at an earlier time. And how we do that is we create quarterly vacancy lists that have the different boards and commissions on there and what seats are needed at the moment. And they go by 2 to 3 months. However, you can always access the vacancies by visiting michigan.gov/appointments, where you can see all the boards and commissions. You can click on them. You can see who currently serves on them, what the term expirations are, what seat requirements that you need to serve on that certain position. You can also click on them to go deeper into that board and commission's website to take a look at their past meeting minutes, to see public meetings. Public meetings are a great way, as Consuela said earlier, they're a great way to get involved without even becoming a commissioner. So coming into the room, seeing the different issues that are being talked about at those commission meetings, introducing yourself to some of the commissioners, so you have a little bit more of a stake when you apply to the board and commissions. The third thing is, of course, applying. And so if there is one website I want you to remember here today, it's michigan.gov/appointments. When you go on there, you'll see a link that says apply now. And applications stay in our system for about 2 years. So even if it's not something that you're ready to do tomorrow, maybe you'll be interested in 6 months, I really encourage all the women here today, or even the men that might be joining in on this call, to apply to a board and commission. You can always go in and edit your application anytime within those 2 years. And also pass that link on to others that you think would be a phenomenal person for the role. Application is not a guarantee of an appointment, but it's definitely your step in, and we do review every single application that comes in the door. The other thing I would say is, when we talk about uplifting, is ensure that you also get uplifted with your application. And so when you send an application in, if there are others around you who would like to send a referral or recommendation, please have them email us. You can email us directly at appointments@michigan.gov, or you can even attach those referral letters to your application. A little bit about the appointments process, just to kind of demystify what happens behind the scenes. When you take a look at an appointment, you'll see an upcoming expiration date. Some of them may be past, or some of them may be upcoming. We then work with our boards and commissioners here that you see today to evaluate what are the needs of the boards, what are the seat requirements, what are the gaps, and what type of commissioner the board would like to kind of see come in. We then review all the applications and the recommendations. All our appointments and all of our appointees go through a vetting process, and then the governor announces, when she decides who the appointee is, we then announce and file the appointment. And so some tips for success, as I went through a lot here today, but of course, I'm always happy to answer any questions, so feel free to email me at appointments@michigan.gov for any questions regarding the application process. Some tips for success is do your research. So go to michigan.gov/appointments, take a look at the boards and commissions that we have and see what's interesting to you. Apply early. So like I said, even if you're not considering something right now, but maybe in the future, just get your application in. Answer every question and highlight what makes you unique, and share your goals and values. This is not a time to be shy. You are wonderful at everything that you're doing, and this is a time to really talk about those unique skill sets that you bring to the table. Include letters of support if you have them at hand. Anticipate that there will be a vetting. And the one I like to talk about most is consider the less obvious boards and commissions. A lot of the times folks reach out to me and they have a specific commission at mind, or they have a specific board on mind. And what I tell them is, hey, we have 250 boards and commissions. We need different perspectives and values across all the boards and commissions. And so while something is something that you normally do, or while one board and commission just looks the most interesting, ensure that you include at least 4 to 5 other commissions that you can bring value to as you apply and as you send recommendations. So that's just a little bit of our boards and commissions here. I hope that gave you a little bit of an understanding of how to apply, what happens behind the scenes, and what it looks like. But again, we are happy to answer any questions that you have if you email us at appointments@michigan.gov to clarify anything. And so with that said, I would love to ask all the commissioners, put you on the spotlight here, and ask you one last question. And I'll start with Suzanne. So what is one more thing that you would like women to know about serving on boards and commissions that hasn't already been talked about here today, or maybe that you want to just emphasize and ensure it gets across the table?
Thank you, Samaya, for that question. Michigan is our home. And by serving on a board or commission, you have an opportunity to take care of and nurture it. As Sumaya mentioned, there is about 250 boards and commissions. You can find the commission that gives you purpose and is meaningful to you, and one that you feel that you can contribute to. Whether it is an ethnic commission, health, education, or social service based, just check out the website. There's tons of commissions out there. You have an opportunity to really help identify barriers and make recommendations for improvement within our communities. And I'm one that likes to share examples, so bear with me. I'll give you one more small example. As I mentioned before, I'm an immigration attorney, and I represent school districts. And teachers are on a federal critical shortage list, and school districts are struggling to find teachers for a number of reasons: COVID, retirement, a lack of interest in going into the profession. So schools are hiring foreign teachers to help with their shortages. And teachers must have a state license to teach. So while immigration is federal law, teacher licensing rules are based on state law. So I've helped identify a barrier for some of the state licensing, and I shared recommendations on how to improve the process, and also by bringing in my understanding of the U.S. or the federal immigration laws. So this was one real example of how change can be effectuated, and it felt good knowing that I could help because it was a real, tangible example of one of the things that you can do when you're serving on a board or a commission.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'll pass it over to Consuela.
Could you ask the question again?
Oh, sure. What is one more thing that you would like women to know about serving on a board and a commission?
For me, it's exciting. I love to learn and new things, and I guess I'm going to be biased. I love the state of Michigan. I think it's the most beautiful state because of our water and the land and topography and things like that. And being a commissioner, to be able to travel to Muskegon or Holland or Flint or Saginaw or smaller little towns, and to see how our people are living and see what they need and want, and to be able to identify something that I can do to leverage that relationship and to find new leadership, even in those small areas and towns where they think their voice probably would not matter at all. To be that person that's that bridge between the community and the capital, that's imperative. That's power. That shows that your voice matters. And that's being here, being a commissioner. It shows that our voice matters, period.
Thank you. And what about you, Audra? What is the last thing you'd like to leave our audience with?
If there was ever a point in time that you felt like you needed to be something for your community, being a commissioner is that. You should definitely sign up. You should definitely be that voice that if you don't recognize yourself, maybe it's because you're needed on that commission. So that's that.
Ayesha, would love to hear from you.
Hi, this is Ayesha. What has been said has really been it, right? Like same as Consuela said, Suzanne, Audra, just you can really be the change that you want to see. And it really does model leadership behavior for our young folks, for our children, for people who look like us, who for so long never saw people who look like us in leadership. And right now is a pivotal moment in history, right? We have the first Asian American and Black presidential nominee in the history of our country. So I think it's just so important for us to keep pushing ourselves to step into these positions of potential power, because you don't know who you can pave the way for.
Dr. Donna.
Yeah, everyone said everything very well. And I just want to support that. If you have questions or if you have concerns, if you don't see change happening as fast as you would like to see it change, a commission is for you. Think about what you're passionate about. it's not just you that's passionate about that. There are probably thousands of other women that have the same concerns, the same questions, that are not seeing the change happen as fast as they would like. You can be that voice. You can be the person at the table. You get that chair, you pull it up to the table, you roll up your sleeves and you work. You work to help drive the change that you expect to see. So I believe that those that have that passion for the community, for their constituencies, get involved. I love the discussion about at the local level. At the local level is a great start. If you just want to kind of tap your, put your toe in the water and then move on to the state level, national level, there are opportunities at every single level to be able to drive change, to get involved with things that you're passionate about, that you want to see improve. So get out there, help everybody that's here, drive change in our communities. Definitely would love to see you there.
Thank you. And Sue.
Well, thank you so much, Maya, and thank you so much for all of our panelists. This has been a wonderful discussion, and I'm so grateful to know that so many great leaders like you all are here and supporting not only the Michigan Women's Commission, but supporting each other. And one of the things that I will say that's very important that I want to leave with everyone is the race is not over. It was, just about 100 years ago, a little more than 100 years ago, that women had the right to vote. That means that my great-grandmother, when she came here, when she was born, she didn't have the right to vote, right? My great-grandmother was so proud of the accomplishments of women, but she made sure that I knew that it was important for me to continue to move the needle forward. It was important for me to carry the baton to move us forward. And the things that she did, leaving Arkansas when she was back in the 30s, when she was a young woman, to come here to create a better life in the great state of Michigan for her daughter and her family. That means so much to me because that was a huge risk that she took. But it's so important for us as women, to rally behind other women, to support other women, and not just, and that doesn't mean excluding anyone. That means that we need to support our communities that we serve, and not forgetting the history, as Ayesha has shared with us too. It's important for us to know the history, for us to understand why it's important, and then for us to start to say, how can we make sure that we impact change? How can we move our great state forward? Because that's going to be important for those who come next.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Cheryl, Anna Rose, and the whole Michigan Women's Commission team that really were at the forefront of leading this discussion and ensuring that we create spaces to have women represented at the table. I really encourage you all to follow the Women's Commission on their Instagram, on their LinkedIn. I believe their Instagram handle is MIWomen's, Women's COMM, and then you can search them on LinkedIn as well. Please consider applying to boards and commissions at michigan.gov/appointments. And the last thing that I'll say here today is I stand before you not to just speak, but to really celebrate you today. Your strength, your uniqueness, and the boundless potential that resides within each and every one of you. You're the architects of your own destiny. And today, I want to remind you that who you are is just enough. It's extraordinary. And I look forward to all of you applying for our boards and commissions. Have a wonderful day and happy Women's Equality Day.